A tremendous dialogue awaits in episode 2 of the Spirit Over Substance podcast. We are joined by philosopher, humanitarian, personal trainer, water specialist, and tremendous accountability partner, Mr. Jordan Kelly. In this sit down, we discuss the following: concocting an astute mindset, training to become an athlete for life, diet, vaping. Our water section includes education, contaminants, and remedies, and we polish it off with my personal favorite, fasting. Listen, there is something for everybody in this one. I'm gonna tell you that. Get your loose leaf and Dixon Ticonderoga out. It's notes time. One thing I was curious is, like, have you always was there a catalyst for you taking your health and your spirit and soul serious, or have you kind of always been this way?
There was definitely a catalyst. I've always been into the conspiracy theories. I believe that's when it started. At like 12 years old, I learned about the Illuminati, and then I just started like reading everything I possibly could. Then you find your rabbit holes and take what you can from each. But I would say it started at a young age for me, and just the awareness. For an example, I started to play youth football, like tackle football, earlier than most kids because I weighed enough. I believe it was 8, 9, 10-year-olds, and I started at 7 because I weighed like 100 pounds as a 7-year-old. They were like, sign him up, he's ready. Mm-hmm. But I remember kind of overhearing my parents talking in their room behind closed doors at a young age. I was probably 6 or 7. And I remember hearing my father talking about how their son had man boobs. And to me, like, that was definitely something that I didn't really understand what that feeling was at a young age, but like it was probably hurt. But I took that, and very early on, I would start running laps in the backyard. I would mow the lawn. I would put like a long sleeve and a hoodie on and go out in the summertime because I had this awareness that adults, when they exercise, they just try to sweat. That's how I saw it. So I was like, exercising. I would say that was the first time I displayed the awareness of like health and wanting to be better. 6 or 7 years old. Kind of crazy to say out loud, actually.
I find the way I like to put it is there's these universal absolutes, and they're just how I believe God set up the laws of how societies run. And it's kind of cool because, like, I feel like in art it's this way, and in your story it's this way, but a lot of the most powerful things come from some sort of, it's like the yin and the yang. Like it's about taking that and bringing it out, and
transmutation.
Yeah, bro. That's it right there.
It's transmutation. And I truly believe that you say the yin and the yang. I feel like the balance is the awareness that like both are present at the same time, Like you can't really have one without the other simultaneously.
Yeah. A couple retired athletes here.
Absolutely.
Myself being a junior varsity high school player, and then you played baseball in collegiately.
I did.
So at this point in your life, how do you go about your training? Because for me, what I wrote down here is training for me is to prepare for the war of life. I think that's both physical and mental.
I agree. I feel like it takes being really real with yourself, and like kind of what you wrote down there. To me, that means embodying what you do. Like my training is specific to myself. The original definition of fitness is being able to go about your daily activities without fatigue and getting tired. We turn that into let's all get jacked and maximize our human specimen. When being a true warrior, I feel like, is that balance. Like, let's say you're a father, you're a husband, you're a reliable businessman, you're a working guy, whatever it is. If I go into the gym and I have this approach to just like tear down my body, build lots of muscle, I can't really expect to be able to show up in the ways that I could in the other aspects. So to me, like, that's kind of my approach right now. There are waves where I can have fun with it and I can literally train for fun because that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not necessarily striving to get jacked by any means. I watch my numbers, But the main thing that I pay attention to is, will my exercise of choice benefit me getting through my workday or my travel or spending time with family or my niece, the things that really matter. If my training's making me too tired and I'm just like not fully present during those other parts of my life, then I feel like I can't really say I'm a true warrior the way that I'm approaching my working out. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with my movement, exercise, all that good stuff. And don't get it twisted. There are times where, it is therapeutic. You can turn it up a little bit and just feel what that's like to experience like actively suffering. I feel like there's peace in that as well. But overall, my approach is definitely strategic when it comes to the structure of my workouts.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, for me, it's like, it's obviously nice to look in the mirror and like feel good about yourself. Like,
man, you can go up to any mirror, lift up your shirt, and see the results and the work that you're putting in.
Yeah,
that's a good feeling.
And it's so rewarding knowing that that's something that takes time, takes consistency. Another one of those universal laws, man. It's like, and that's a whole nother thing about instant, what is it, gratification, immediate gratification versus delayed. So, but yeah, but for me, it's more so like the mental clarity I get, and maintaining that routine. And when you're not in the gym for a little bit, you can kind of feel it with your mentality. So
I agree. Pushing your body to its physical limit is kind of just, sometimes it's even an unconscious reminder that like you're capable of anything, especially non-physical. We can handle much more than we think we can. I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about what you put your belief in.
That's so true. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll see how it goes, my guy. But along with your training,
yeah,
I think just as important is diet. What are you feeding? What are you feeding your temple? So what's a normal grocery kind of trip look like for you? What are you putting in your body, man?
That's a really good question. I don't want to say this answer for myself and for anyone to feel like this is what I need to be eating, because this is my diet, and what I eat is just the result of trial and error. Getting into fasting, learning what I like to eat, what makes me feel heavy, what makes me feel like I can go up, that awareness it takes time and balls as well. But a typical day, I try to eat nutrient-dense things. If I have access to farmers markets, that's always going to be my first choice. I'm grateful. We're here in Tennessee. They have so many. Okay, there's 4 significant markets. I've been to all of them. You can find great stuff at literally every single market. Nolensville, Murfreesboro, Franklin, Richland Park, 12 South. All of them have great vendors. Farmers that are in their integrity, you do have to ask questions, but like for an example, the morning time, I'm eating eggs every day. I'm going to be honest. Now, there was a time where I didn't. I was plant-based. I was vegan for like a whole year. I was raw vegan for a while. But now I feel my body operates very well when I eat animal products. And that's something that that's a decision that I had to make for myself. I'm not following a specific diet. I've tried a lot for a good amount of time as well. And I've even taken, I think I took like a whole year off of eating something as simple as eggs. They take like 20 minutes to digest. Super nutrient dense. I'm like, for men, T levels, I'm like, dude, eat your eggs, bro. But no, that's probably the most consistent thing. My snacks are like, dates, honey. I make sure to eat some sort of protein. I usually never buy any of my protein sources from the store. It's always from the market for the past 2.5 years. Crazy. I can taste the difference. Some people say it's not that big of a deal. Obviously, for my financial position and what I'm wanting out of, just my body, I want the cleanest stuff. If you're putting like cheap oil in your car, you're probably not going to get the best run out of it. Look at the body in the same way. If I'm eating McDonald's protein or like protein from meat that's been grown without being injected with anything, no antibiotics, no hormones, no feed even, you know, pasture raised, I'm probably going to get more benefit from eating a healthier animal than something that was just like mass produced to be frozen for who knows how long. And then I get it eaten after it's heated up, deep fried, and slapped together with a bunch of other, you know, it's just, that's kind of how I look at it. And for some people, like I experienced, like, it wasn't easy because you're going against all those defaults that you have your whole life, like that instant gratification. Like, I know I can go here and get a meal that's like somewhat healthy, but it's like, how much do you care, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how much do you love yourself? I know that's a deep way of looking at it, but like, that's kind of how I put it in my experience, to where it was like, okay, I could go here. It'd be easy to make it for you, or I can like basically recreate my relationship with food by taking my time, taking the steps that I'm eliminating and bypassing. And it's crazy how a switch like that can actually like kind of correlate and rub off on other areas of your life. If we're bypassing with food and what we put in our body, you know, what else could we possibly be also bypassing? If we're looking at one of the most important things to us as humans, what we put in our body, we're just bypassing one of the most important things. There's got to be other areas we're probably doing the same.
For sure, bro. And one of those is vaping. I want to get your input on that, bro. But let me put
Oh my goodness.
The vapes. I've heard them referred to as the Chinese AC units, man. These things are no good.
Really?
Yeah, but what's your thoughts, man? What do you have?
Vaping. There's so many things I could say. First, I just want to be clear. I have definitely vaped before.
Yes.
I have definitely purchased my own vape before, and I have definitely went through waves of like 2 weeks I'll like have a vape just to like just feel like I have some form of instant gratification. Then I'd end up getting sick of it, and then I'd be like, you know, what do they call it? Nick sick. Like, I would get Nick sick almost every single time I would get a vape because I would just abuse it, and next thing you know, I have all this nicotine in my bloodstream, and I'm like, oh, I'm nauseous, you know. But it's like, when you think about what it takes and what they're putting in that to give us that feeling, it's kind of sketch. But vaping as a whole, I would say if you're a man, there's no space for vaping in your life, bro. Like, especially when it comes down to the testosterone killers, I would say vaping's up there at number 1.
It's got to be up there.
I've read some studies, which I won't quote off the top of my head. However, I do know that they're basically proving that by the hit, it's literally like taking a piece of your testosterone away from you each time you rip those things, you know? And if you look at a lot of folks that vape, I know some people like it because they feel like it's a healthier option to like chewing tobacco or smoking cigs. Which, like, if you have a vape and like that's your thing and you got self-control, you know, do your thing. Because I would say that's definitely, I would say it's maybe a cleaner form of getting that rush that you're looking for than like throwing some tobacco in your lip or like, you know, smoking a Black and Mild or a cigarette. It's like a security thing with some people. They got to have that vape in their pocket the whole time. Before we leave anywhere, where's my vape? It's like, yo, relax. That's crazy. They don't even realize the hold it has on you. I've definitely been there. Well, yeah, your boy is definitely not hitting vapes right now.
Perhaps a call to action on it. You know, for me, what helped me to put it down, and I think it's another one of those universal truths, one of those absolutes, is like sometimes it takes a drastic experience to finally get you to say,
oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you another thing I'm bad about is being on my phone while driving.
Are you?
Yeah, more than I should be for sure. But
yeah, it's like, think about anything that you feel like you have to be discreet about or hide to do it, you know? It's like, think about it. When you're throwing in a Zyn, what do they call them? A lip pillow?
Yeah, lip pillow.
Zenachino, pouch, lippers,
Yeah,
whatever.
African
it is.
sugars one.
Yeah, that's another one. When you're doing that, it's almost like you don't want anyone to see you, really.
Mm-hmm. They are definitely low key.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like when do you ever see someone putting one in? Not most of the time. You wouldn't even, people do their best to like make it seem they don't have one in, you know? That's like the secret.
Yeah, I could attest to that. I definitely was inconspicuous as could be with my pucks.
Dude, check this out. I work at a gym, and 6 of the male trainers, I could ask them at any time, do you have a Zin? Can I get one? Yeah. Take 2. Every single time. Zin. The pucks, that's what you call
The
them?
pucks, yes sir, man.
Golly.
Yeah. But bro, perhaps one of your more studied areas, one of your areas of passion, man, is water. And I appreciate you because you definitely got my mind a bit more proactive on understanding, like, you know, you need to take that serious. Like, it's unfortunately so tough to find clean outlets. So
It's only going to become more difficult.
yeah, would you mind diving into that a little bit?
Yeah,
Like,
there's so much to dive into.
yeah, please.
Do you have anything exactly that you would, any questions to start off?
Yeah,
Do you
so I
have?
know your research, you know, us being in Middle Tennessee, I'm curious about some of the contaminants and chemicals that you know about in our water supply. And then for sure, I'm curious about the difference between alkaline and alkalized.
Okay.
So however you want to unpack it, I'm curious.
Okay, so first I'll just say what the difference between alkaline and alkalized is, and then I'll jump over to the contaminants. So the biggest difference, and the most surface level way I can explain it to be understood, is that alkaline is a chemical change. Alkalized is a change in voltage. So what that means is, if I take water and I add baking soda and, you know, other minerals, I can essentially make that water alkaline. So like if you take tap water, add baking soda, and test the pH, you know, it's probably going to show that it's on the alkaline side. That's a chemical change. That's what they do with bottled water. They take water, they add chemicals, and it becomes alkaline. pH 9.5, right? The difference in alkalized is voltage. So what that means is, basically, the most natural way this occurs is in nature. There's a body of water, lightning strikes. That water has voltage now. Okay, when you think about us as humans, our cells have a negative charge. Like, as beings, we carry a voltage. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen the video with the light bulb. People will put the tester in their mouth and it will light a light bulb because we literally have a negative charge. So when you think about our cells, they'll hold a negative charge of like about negative 50 millivolts. So negative number is good. Positive number is oxidative. Okay, it's this thing called ORP, oxidation reduction potential. The ability for a substance to oxidize or have an antioxidative effect on your body. So when you go back to the voltage, when you consume things like, for an example, freshly juiced fruit juice, that's going to have a voltage too, especially if it's just picked from the tree. It's got a negative charge through the earth. It's connected to the earth. You know, people do grounding. That's another way to get negative ions. It's like put your feet in the grass or the sand or the ocean water. So what's happening is, to the alkalized water, is it's passing through these platinum coated titanium plates. Okay, this is the device that I have, and basically what that does is mimics the process of lightning striking the water. It creates the hydrogen water. That's the big thing everyone's on right now with the little bottles. It creates the hydrogen water. That's what this device does. That's what alkalized water is. Water with voltage. It's taking water that's dead, stagnant. It's giving it a negative charge through a process of electrolysis, and it's creating hydrogen. So that's the biggest difference. Alkaline water, there's really no hydrogen present. H2O. alkalized, there's hydrogen present. Molecular hydrogen, I know that's a big term. It's another word for a very strong antioxidant. That's what that means. But yeah, that's the biggest difference. So alkaline, chemical change, alkalized, change in voltage.
Incredible the false advertising going on with the bottled waters, man.
They'll say everything else but what needs to be said on those bottled waters. It's it's silly. It's all sales. Bottled water is one of the biggest scams, like, to this day. When it was created, it was straight money. Think about how much it cost them. And then think about, like, how many things that are on that list of reasons to just not drink it. The list is way bigger on that side than it is reasons to drink bottled water. And that's just bottled. I'm not even talking about the tap yet. We're talking about contaminants.
Yeah.
Brother. I want to start by saying the contaminants that you can find in our water, I won't say that they have this super crazy negative immediate effect on us, okay? I'm not saying that if you shower and tap, you're going to die next week or even in a year. You know, it's not like that. A lot of the things that are in our water and the negative effects that have been found when being exposed to these things, they're potential effects that have been found over longer periods of time. But one thing I like to tell people just to get them thinking is I personally think that people that suffer from eczema, dry skin, dandruff, flaky scalp, dry hair, just like bad breath, anything that has to do with the skin or the surface level or the hair, I guarantee if they were to switch the water that they were rinsing their body in, it would be way different. Our skin is our largest organ. Everyone knows that. So basically, if we're rinsing in water for 10 minutes, it's kind of like drinking almost a liter of that water. So if you're showering in, water that's just straight tap, personally, you can do a basic search on ewg.org/tapwater. And you type in your zip code. And what I've found in Tennessee, I believe there's 14 contaminants that exceed the legal limit. And the potential effects for all of them are cancer. So that's why I choose to use a shower filter and a drinking water filter as well. I personally don't think that it's safe for me and my family long term to be exposed to stuff like this, especially since I moved to Tennessee. I've never experienced water that was this hard. So what I've found is there's so many contaminants that they're basically throwing in a bunch of chlorine to mask or cancel out the contaminants in the water. It's not doing anything because actually some of the chemicals that are in the water, when they're mixed with chlorine, they create another chemical. And these are known as forever chemicals. And now I believe they even have water that has exposed to radiation in our tap water. You can find things like birth control, pharmaceuticals, lead, arsenic, mercury. That's a big one here in Tennessee. If you go to the bodies of water to go fishing or something, there'll be a sign that says limit fish consumption to 1 per week because of high levels of mercury. Think about it. Contaminants out here are outrageous. Again, I like to tell people to look on their own, ewg.org/tapwater. It's 2 things. You type in your zip code, click the first one, scroll down. Thank me later.
Yeah, it all starts with education. So. Yeah, I think people intrinsically know this, but
until that exposure hits and they connect the dots, they're like, okay, yeah, this is actually a real thing.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask about fasting because I've done just shy of 72-hour fast. Felt very positive about it, but I know you've had your fair share. So
first of all, 72 hours is definitely something to be proud of and excited about. Even just 24 hours of not eating anything, what that can do for you is unexplainable. I can't even really explain because it's going to be different for everyone. I tell everyone, if you can go 1 whole day without eating, if there's one thing to not listen to your doctor about, it's that. You're going to be okay. You're not going to die. Don't eat the whole day, and just with the intention of analyzing your thinking pattern and the way that you're processing things and the way you're seeing things. You know, are you getting all riled up because somebody turned in front of you in traffic, or are you just like unfazed because you're just so in your body? And food, again, is one of those things that we oftentimes gravitate towards for instant gratification. Like, the power of knowing that you have a meal later can get you through like a lot of different things. And I think we kind of took that and ran with it. That's a whole nother conversation, but fasting, extremely beneficial. I'd like to share about my experience fasting.
Yeah, please. I would love to hear.
So there's 3 fasts that I've done that were over 7 days. Started off just doing intermittent fasting. That was kind of just like whatever for me. It was cool, but I knew there was a lot more. There's a man called, they call him John Rose. He's on YouTube. It's an older man. He's in his 60s, and he is extremely knowledgeable about the art of fasting. He's got an 8-pack, shredded to the bone. He's not like super muscularly dense, but he is like shredded and healthy, and his skin is glowing. And he's one person that I've gotten a lot of my information from, experience based. He's so raw with the way that he talks about it and presents it to folks. And having him there as a video, and also my partner, we would do them together at first, and then, you know, kind of lean on each other when we were feeling a craving or something, just like someone to talk to about it. Like, what do you think this is? Where was it stemming from? And, you know, I was able to go from doing just a 24-hour fast all the way up to my longest is 14 days. And that fasting, what I mean by that is going 14 days without chewing and swallowing a single bite of anything. All I was doing was making homemade juices, all made by myself. Just fruit juice. So all liquids and water, nothing else for 2 weeks. One of the craziest things that I thought about that happened to me during the fast was, I think I was on day 9 of not, think about it, you've went 9 days without eating anything, and all of a sudden your stomach starts to bubble, and you take one of the biggest dumps that you could possibly take, and you've went 9 days without eating. If you're backed up, fast. Like, if you're eating meals and you're not seeing your meal a couple hours later come out of you, or like some people, I'm just going to say, like, some people don't poop more than like once or twice a day. Bro, it's not normal.
Bro, twice a day is, I mean, I have my days.
Minimum, bro, you're pooping.
Bro, twice a day.
So listen, every time you eat, you should poop. I'll put it like that. I'm not saying there's no like number of, because obviously everyone's different. Everyone's body's different, but if your metabolism's on point, man, it's gonna go right through you. You know?
How far thereafter, after a meal?
It just depends on what you're doing, your habits, how active you are, what you ate, how much water you had. There's so many ways so many things that could play a role, but I can't really say like for anyone. I can't like give advice. I could like share tools that I use and that have been known to work to help you speed up your metabolism. You know, things like enema. Do you know what an enema is?
Yeah, I've heard about them.
They're a real thing, bro, and they're very respected by very successful, and by successful I mean people that have helped a lot of folks retake control over their health. They're a staple in some people's holistic practices as well, and as far as their detoxifying protocols, especially if you're backed up. And fasting, I did 2 enemas while I was fasting, just because it's like, you know, you're getting in there. I've done a regular enema, and I've also did an orange enema. But that's all I'll really say about that, just because I'm not really, you know, sure how sensitive of a topic that is for your audience. But yes, orange is also referred to as it's piss. It's like the professional way, spiritual way of saying like urine. But yeah. Water, orange enemas. There's also other things like this thing called the Zen cleanse, where basically dude, this thing is no joke. There's this thing called mucoid plaque. That's one of the biggest things that you'll see come out of your body when you're fasting. It's like this layer that gets built up over time just in the inside of us. And when you take this Zen cleanse, basically, it hardens all that up and you release this huge thing you can literally pick up out of the toilet. For some people, it's like as big as this mic. And, you know, it literally looks like the inside of your wall, intestinal lining, just came out and peeled. So then now there's nothing blocking your body's ability to absorb that nutrients from what you're eating. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you could be super backed up and it could just take you longer versus somebody that's really clear. Like, for an example, not saying that these are correlated, but just to like paint a picture of kind of what would be happening is, let's say you eat an apple and then a pinch of salt, like 2 minutes later, all of a sudden your veins are popping. Versus someone else could do that who's backed up. It's probably not going to see any veins. It'll probably just bloat them and they'll feel like trash. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you said that was called what? Zucoid plaque?
Mucoid plaque.
Mucoid
yes,
plaque.
Mucoid plaque. We all have it. If we eat anything that's cooked, it's just what happens in the body. When to digest things, we take mucus buildup, get it through the body. Obviously, if you're eating things, there are things that you can eat that will speed up and make it more drastic of a buildup, you know, over time than others. If you're eating healthy fruits and whole foods, you know, you're going to be fine. Some people would say, you know, animal products cause it more. I'm no expert in that field, but in my experience, you know, if you're using good oils to cook, that's another way to stay away from it. But yeah, dude, fasting. The biggest thing I learned from fasting was that my relationship with food was something that I had became codependent on. And one of the biggest changes that has shifts, I'll say, one of the biggest shifts for me, excuse me, one of the biggest shifts that had happened was my gratitude for my meals. You know, that might sound crazy, but when you haven't eaten in 13, 14 days, and you're going to break your fast with dates or prunes that you soaked overnight, you drink the prune water, and then you eat your first bite of a prune. When you realize how excited you are and how much of like satisfaction you got from eating a soaked prune, you're like, wow, I have completely rewired my brain. That's what it feels like. Every meal after that, you have this moment before where you're like, I'm just grateful for this meal, dude. It's something it's one of those things that's unexplainable, but I advise everyone to try it. You know, going without food. You know, obviously don't try to kill yourself and, you know, you're getting 3 meals, all of a sudden you're just going to cold turkey fast. You can do that, but the chances that you're going to binge into a deeper hole are probably pretty high, you know?
I always think of the Native Americans back in the day, like the head to tail, how they would cherish animals in the buffalo.
Every part of the animal was used.
Yeah. And so that just goes to say that there's something spiritual about it. And we've kind of gotten away from that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that you say that, to have gratitude in that and understanding, like,
what had to go down for me to even have this plate of food in front of me? A lot of stuff. Even nowadays, like, obviously no one's out hunting and killing the animals, but there's somebody with a job who had to pack it, load it, transport it, put it on the like wherever it is. In my case, like the farmers, like they take care of their animals, bro. Being a farmer, they're up hours that we couldn't even think about being up doing work. The integrity it takes to not take the shortcuts, give your animals shots, you know, feed them bullshit, not have them healthy. The living conditions are their domain, just not ideal. Man, I feel like that's where the magic happens.